DogeCoin, the very currency phenomenon that adds the fire of memes to the house that Bitcoin built. Today on Let's Talk Bitcoin, we're joined by Josh Mullen, the creator of the DogeCoin Reddit tip bot and a Doge aficionado who agreed to lend us his perspective on the topic.
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. So I'd like to play a clip for you kind of to start things off. I was trying to figure out how to pronounce Doge this morning, and I was like doggy because I'd heard everybody say doggy. And so I bothered looking it up, and I discovered that the origin of the DogeCoin name actually is from like a web cartoon that I was very familiar with in high school in like 2002 and 2003 called Homestar Runners. Let me play this clip for you.
I'm almost done with these third quarter projection analysis spreadsheets, and still no sign of...
What is up, my dog?
Oh, I am not your dog.
Wonderman, you quack me up. Quack me up. That's why you're my D-O-G-E.
Your Doge? What are you talking about? I'm strong bad.
Okay, and so like that is literally the genesis of the name of what eventually, became Dogecoin. So just taking a step back from this for a second, I'm usually a Bitcoin guy, and I'm interested in altcoins that do kind of innovative things. And Dogecoin does make a few changes, but I'm curious, tell me from your perspective, what got you into Dogecoin and, what's attractive about it?
I was originally into Litecoin. I was mining Litecoin for a while before I even found out about Dogecoin. And it was kind of around the same time where it seemed like every other day or so, another altcoin was coming out. And it just got to be so absurd that, I was on the Bitcoin Talk forum one day and I saw Dogecoin and I'm like, oh, this is great. I got to check this out. So I started mining, got a couple million because it was the first day. Just as a joke, I thought it was funny, and I started giving them to my friends. Went right back into mining Litecoin after I got a few million, and then it just took off.
There's a disconnect in what you said there that I want to address. You said that it was ridiculous. There were too many coins coming out, and then Dogecoin comes out, and you jumped on that. So where's the logic in that? What was it about Dogecoin that made it attractive?
I thought it was the most absurd thing I had ever heard of.
Okay, so literally, so this is the same line of thinking where one goes to like a really bad old movie at the theaters because, hey, you've never seen a movie that bad in the theaters, right? I mean, is that it?
Yeah, pretty much. I thought it was, seeing all these different coins come out and then going on Cryptsy and saying, oh my goodness, there's like 50 coins they're trading. And then seeing Dogecoin just pop up on the Bitcoin Talk forums, it just seemed too perfect. I had to just get a few.
So from your perspective, it was better for it to be bad than for it to be boring.
Yeah, precisely.
Interesting. Okay. So you got it. So you mined it for a little while and then you went back to Litecoin, and what happened? How did you wind up creating a tip bot around it?
I was on Reddit one night. I noticed that over in the Dogecoin subreddit, they were asking someone to make a tip bot. So I thought, hey, why not? I'll give it a shot. Less than 6 hours later, we had the tip bot up and running. I gave away a few tips, had to type in all the captchas by hand, and then I woke up the next morning and it had blown up. It was on the front page of Reddit.
So then what about this? The two things that you've described for me so far have been something that you've done because it was easy, right? I mean, like if you spent 6 hours creating the Reddit tip bot, that's clearly not, like a trivial task, but compared to other types of, projects, that's a relatively short-term thing. In the mining too, you mined for how many days and got a couple million?
I think I mined for about a day on the first day. Yeah.
So that's something that I've noticed before, is like you talk to people who create new coins, you talk to people who are really interested in new coins. And a lot of times like you, they're miners, who have experienced this process of, using your computational power to kind of turn it into crypto money and are interested in doing more of that once the opportunity dries up in whatever they're working on. But taking a step back from that perspective, what is Dogecoin to you if it can't be easily mined and if you can't create a service for it and that takes a couple of hours?
I think in those early days, it was very easy. The challenge now is the bot has gotten so big, maintaining it is almost a full-time job. When we first started, I was pretty surprised. I didn't think we'd reach 1,000 users. We're up to about just over 36,000 users that are using the bot right now on Reddit.
Wow. And these people are actually using the bot? They've actually sent or received something?
Yeah. We send about the equivalent of maybe 2.5 Bitcoins a day on Reddit in just tips alone.
Wow. How is that stacking? You might not know this. Do you know how that stacks up against the Bitcoin tip bot?
I think we're actually a little bit more popular right now. It's hard to tell.
I was going to say, that sounds like pretty high numbers, relatively speaking.
Yeah, they don't release too many metrics. I think the last report that I saw that Bitcoin Tip had put out was in October of 2013. And at that point, I want to say they're up into the $60,000 US value number of tips with Bitcoin on Reddit.
So what do you ascribe to the fact that that so much tipping is going on, and that, frankly, you have 36,000 people who have actually used the tip bot for Doge? I mean, do you think it's low value?
It's hard to say. I think there's just so many factors involved on why it's so popular. It's weird because, to be honest, I mean, altcoin tip had been around for almost, I'd say, a year before I even came on the scene with this one. And my bot was basically just a fork of altcoin tip with one specific currency in mind, which was DogeCoin. And Bitcoin tip had been around for, I mean, they're the big player before. So it's weird seeing, DogeCoin taking off when there were perfectly valid ways of tipping others on Reddit before this.
I've been calling Dogecoin like a meme coin. I think it's the first of a new class of cryptocurrency that focuses on more of like an inclusive community built around an inside joke as their primary means of marketing, above like technical innovations or any sort of initial redemption. Like you're going to see some coins come about in the near future that allow you to actually redeem them for certain things. Dogecoin doesn't really offer any of those things, and yet it has become something of a phenomenon within the cryptocurrency space. So, I mean, do you think that it's about the meme, or what do you think it is about?
My favorite description of Dogecoin is it's the Ferris Bueller of cryptocurrencies. It's kind of ridiculous. It's very easy. It's very approachable. And the meme just kind of adds that layer of awesomeness to it. But as far as from a technical standpoint goes, yeah, you're right. It doesn't really share anything truly innovative other than the fact that it seems to have just blown up overnight.
And then, of course, the other side of this is, like you said, it has blown up. And one of the ways that has manifested is a subreddit that I've been on a number of times and posted on a couple of times. That's actually how you and I connected for this interview. And, it's a very, very active subreddit. It's probably more active than the Bitcoin subreddit is at times. And again, like I'm just trying to, do you have any insight as to what's going on there that is different than other altcoins out there? If it's not the meme, I mean, you're saying that the meme might add something to it. Do you have any idea what it is, or did this just happen to be a perfect storm and it blew up? And then just like Bitcoin, once you get to a certain size, you get attention just because you're a certain size.
And I think that has a lot to do with it, is because we have so many subscribers and it just keeps growing. You have that snowball effect. I mean, originally, I noticed that a lot of the folks that were first coming into the subreddit, they were new to cryptocurrencies. They had never, done anything like this before. So having to explain change addresses, what a blockchain is, those type of things, we were all helping out basically from day one. So we've noticed a lot of the growth comes from people who have never been exposed to crypto before, but, happened to get a tip on Reddit and said, hey, this is actually worth something.
Part of the Dogecoin community ethos then is tipping people on Reddit with Dogecoin that are not inside of the cryptocurrency sphere, right? I mean, is that what you're saying? That like this is coming from people who are actually sending tips to other users on Reddit in other places besides the Doge forum and pull back? Because I've seen people attempt to do this with Bitcoin before, but I wasn't sure how effective it was. You're saying that it's been very effective with Doge.
It's been extremely effective. I think in the first week of the bot being up, I actually got banned from so many subreddits. There's a few of the larger subreddits that the bot's completely banned from, but for the most part, some of them have kind of turned around because they see people getting tips in their subreddits and actually enjoying it. It's a really exciting time. Dogecoin's kind of bucked the trend of, seeing its value rise was just absurd. I remember waking up one morning and, I looked at my phone and my friend was like, dude, it just hit 45 Satoshis. And I'm like, you're kidding me. This meme coin that was just absurd just hit 45 Satoshis. So I was shocked when it hit that. I think now it's up to 200 and something Satoshis over on Cryptsy. Seeing the rise of this coin, it's very fun. I think we're having just a blast over in our Dogecoin. And now that we're just getting to this size, it's pretty awesome to see kind of the possibilities of this going forward.
So what do you think the possibilities are for it going forward? Where do you see Dogecoin in 3 months? Where do you see it in a year? Well,
hopefully it continues to grow and the community continues to be so charitable. the fact that we sponsored the Jamaican bobsled team was probably the most absurd and awesome thing that I've seen us do so far.
So let's talk about that for a second. You guys you sponsored the Jamaican bobsled team, and that wasn't an effort that was led by anyone in any sort of official position. It was just something that kind of emerged organically. And I mean, did you guys fundraise for that? How did that come into being?
One user on the subreddit had noticed that the Jamaican bobsled team needed money and posted something. Of course, it got up to the front page on our DogeCoin. Everyone said, hey, this is an absurd idea. Let's take the cool running story of the Jamaicans going to the Olympics and attach it to a coin that started as a joke and suddenly has value. It just ballooned after that. I think they raised the 30,000 they needed, or the 20 some odd million Dogecoin, in about 24 hours.
Wow. So the hope going forward then is that this isn't just a new currency thing, because ultimately Doge is what, a little over 2 months old?
Yeah, just about.
Okay, so, I mean, that is another point, though, is that, like, a lot of these coins, we see that. Doge blew up early, but there are a lot of coins that really focus on the community and focus on, it's such a great place to be, and they give out lots of coins, and everyone's very generous at the beginning because you're still trying to vest stakeholders. But, I mean, like, is there a certain point at which you think that this dynamic just doesn't really grow anymore, or do you think that the specific fundamentals of Doge lend it to like, a longer tail for this?
I think it's really too early to tell, especially with the first block halving is going to happen roughly around Friday of this week. So I think after we see the first halving take effect, that's going to be kind of we're going to see what happens to the network, see what happens to the hash rate, see if it goes down, if it goes up, see what happens to the price. But I mean, for a coin that's 2 months old that has this amount of growth, it's too early to tell, really.
So if somebody wants to learn more about you, find out about your projects, are there any URLs or domains you'd like to give out?
Yeah, you can go to dogetipbot.com or check us out over on Reddit.
Okay, so give me your top 3 cryptocurrencies right now.
Off the top of my head, it's the big 3, Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Dogecoin.
Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Dogecoin. In that order?
I'd put Dogecoin up on top. I'm a big fan of it.
Okay, so it's Dogecoin, then Bitcoin, then Litecoin at number 3.
Yep. Each coin has its merits, each coin has its strengths, and I'm a big fan of all 3 communities.
That's awesome, Josh. Great. Well, thank you very much for your time on this.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
This is Chris Joseph bringing you news on Next, the first true second-generation cryptocurrency for March 15th, 2014. A cryptographic audit of Next has been completed by Bitcoin Talk Forum's Jesse James. His review of the Curve 25519 and crypto classes in the Java code reveals no red flags in Next's implementation, aside from a signing bug that the developers already know about and are working around. In other news, the newest version of Next, 0.8.9, supports client-side transaction signing, which means that Next clients can now create transactions without transmitting an account's private key over the network. For more general information on Next, head to nextcrypto.org or mynxt.org. And stay tuned for more news on Next on the next Let's Talk Bitcoin broadcast.